the moment to challenge our imagination of what we can do. It begins with faith in ourselves and in this movement. Link arms with others in the movement. Who are the partnerships that you need to link arms with? Faith and action. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you don't feel inspired, empowered, and ready to take action, you better check your pulse. Because you just might be dead. But we're here to revive you today. And so right now, I'm fangirling. We have Miss Jennifer Watson Roberts. She is North Carolina's co-leader for the Carter Center's Strengthening Democracy Project, along with the former NC Supreme Court Justice Bob Orr. This initiative works with a number of coalition partners to restore faith in established democratic norms and pave the way for fair, safe, and secure elections in the coming years. And just so you can put some respect on her name, she served as a 4-term Mecklenburg County Commissioner, was next elected as the 58th Mayor of Charlotte, and then ran the Communities Program on Climate Solutions for a national environmental nonprofit, Eco America. She has been a long champion of issues related to education, equality, inclusion, and environmental protection. She is the only person to be elected to serve as both chairman of the Mecklenburg County Commission and later as Mayor of Charlotte. What an honor we have, and for me, to introduce Jennifer Watson Roberts.
Thank you for that warm introduction. I tend to wander a little bit, so I'm just going to hold on to the mic here. But I feel like after hearing our amazing first speaker that I should just say, what she said. And then we're done, right? Go out and do something. But no, I'm going to talk. Because I've got some more stuff to say too. And I'm really glad I got here in time to hear what you said, because I can build on so much of that. You covered a lot of territory, and hopefully I can remember all of it. But I do want to talk about what the Carter Center is doing in North Carolina and in 5 other states around the country, because it's really important to that motivating factor of doing exactly what Lisa told you, and that is, making phone calls, writing postcards. What I love is the indivisible motto that democracy is not a spectator sport. I love that. I have a shirt that says that too. No, that's exactly true. And the other thing that is so important is that 2024, yes, it is a critical year. It is a watershed year. It is a year when our democracy is in trouble, in deep trouble. That's why the Carter Center is doing work. But it doesn't stop in November. Every single year in this county, we have elections. Every single year. And every single year can make a difference in our future, in our government. And democracy depends on people knowing how the government works and having a voice in that future. Yes, absolutely. So this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And you all are amazing to be here today. I love seeing a full room. It's really hard when it's this beautiful out. But we got to keep doing this. We got to keep doing this because that keeps our country strong. And let me tell you, because I was a diplomat in the Foreign Service, my first job out of graduate school, and so I have a lot of friends in the Foreign Service. Countries around the world are watching us. Yeah, they're watching that stupid trial in New York right now too. But they are watching our big experiment on democracy, because we are the ones that made it work. We are the ones that made it inclusive. We are the ones that went through a civil war and figured out we're still trying to get past the racist beginning and our sexist beginning to our country when only white men with property had any say in our government. We're getting past that. We are the great experiment. Everybody is watching us. So it's not just for Mecklenburg County and North Carolina and the United States. We are working here for the world. Okay? So, not to put any pressure on everybody, but to give you a sense of the magnitude of the change we can create right here, right now, starting today, going forward. That is what we can do, and that should inspire everyone. I want to say also that the League of Women Voters is a great partner to the Carter Center and the work we're doing, and so I'm so glad to see Suzanne here. I'm so glad to talk about their Vote 411, which has great information, and they have been doing work, yes, they've been doing work for years and years, and so, I always encourage people, get involved with an organization. You mentioned a number of organizations. You Can Vote, Red, White, and Blue, Democracy NC, Action NC. There are a whole bunch of organizations. Pick one that you get on their email list, you do their actions, you get their information, because there is so much going on, it's hard to keep up. You know what Machiavelli said? Machiavelli said, commit all your atrocities at once. Because you can't keep track of them all, right? There's so many things that are going on, and our voting rules have changed. One reason we all need to focus on elections is because there are new rules for observers. Yes. The grace period is gone. The voter ID law is there. You have to if you're mailing in a ballot, you have to include a photocopy of your photo ID. Who has a photocopier at home? No. So you gotta go and pay money somewhere or find a library. You gotta do all these steps just to mail in a ballot. And I made phone calls after the last election for people curing ballots, and there were people who truly had transportation problems, and they forgot a signature, they forgot something, and they just said, and I said, can I get you a ride, whatever, they said, you know what, I just don't have time, there's too much going on in my life. And so they never got a chance to vote. And we can all help make sure that doesn't happen again. So let me go back to the Carter Center. I'm just so energized by your beginning. The Carter Center was founded in 1982, and for more than 4 decades, Jimmy Carter was an amazing president and cares greatly, he's still with us, cares greatly about democracy. And so their mission since 1982 has been to support democracy around the world, to be peacemakers, and to help eradicate disease. So they've been doing work in those challenged African countries that nobody seems to know about because the news never covers them. They have been eradicating disease. They have been doing the hard work. But they've also been monitoring elections in places like Ethiopia, like Sudan, like Mali, places that are new democracies, and helping them understand what should you hold your candidates to, how do you make sure elections are fair, how do you make sure no one's cheating, how do you make sure it's a peaceful transition of power, right? Yeah. Peaceful transition of power is the hallmark of democracy, and they have worked around the world for 40 years to help other countries do that. Well, in 2020, with all the noise about the stolen election and fraud and all the things that we know that 60 lawsuits proved that none of that was real, that there was no evidence whatsoever, 60 lawsuits in I don't know how many different states, there's no way that a conspiracy cabal of people could make all that go away. It just didn't. It just didn't. There was not massive fraud. But because that myth circulated so widely, the Carter Center and its expertise said, we have got to try to figure out a way to counter that misinformation. They also are partnering with Princeton University and academics who are looking at polarization trends, political violence, and the possibility of hate groups gaining more strength. They are monitoring this. You wouldn't believe the number of people who count the number of people who show up at a rally. They monitor whether there was any violence. They monitor the groups that attended. This data is out there. And so Princeton helped the Carter Center figure out if the Carter Center is going to do work in the United States on democracy, where are the potential flashpoints? And they looked at history of violence, presence of hate groups, demographic change, because some of the counties in the U.S. that are the most challenged are ones where immigrants and people of color are moving into formerly all-white communities. So our history of racism continues to plague us. And that's part of the build the wall and the anti-immigrant. That is absolutely part of that. Absolutely. So they looked at all that, and they looked at political relevance. So where are the campaigns going to spend a lot of time? Where are the battleground states? Where are those purple states? And guess which state ended up near the top of the list? North Carolina. So North Carolina had all of those elements. We do have Oath Keepers. We do have Proud Boys. We know that they shot out the substation in Moore County so that all the people of Moore County lost power because there was one drag show going on at the same time. And they still have not, their sheriff and all, they don't have any information on who might have done that. They're not trying. So we know that North Carolina, let me tell you the other states that are in there: Florida, Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Wow.
And so every Monday morning, I'm on a call with leaders from all those 6 states, and we have one Republican and one Democrat from each state. Because we have got to not be in an echo chamber. We have got to recognize that there are good people who have been misled, who have been misinformed, who aren't paying attention, who we need to bring into our fold too. We have got to stop thinking of them as the other, and they're just, they're just irredeemable. No, God tells us every human is redeemable, right? Second chance, all these. And I've seen families divided, like not talking to each other because one person voted for Biden and one person's voted for Trump and now they can't even talk? What's that about? We need to figure out ways to get past the polarization, to ensure that peaceful transition, to get past thinking of us as in different warring camps. And we are divided in so many ways. The other thing that the academics showed us is that we are more polarized now than since any time since the Civil War.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's no mistake that there is a new movie out called Civil War, right? They're playing on the fact people feel this, they know this, but they don't know how to get past it. And what we also know is that personal contact makes a difference.
Yes.
And one thing the Carter Center is doing, so what Bob Orr and I are doing in North Carolina is creating a network of people who are willing to be messengers of supporting democracy, doing it peacefully, not othering people and calling out names and saying anybody who's MAGA is a jerk and awful. I know some people who are Trump supporters who are wonderful people. They've just been misled. And we need to talk to them. We need to engage them. And there are also a lot of people in the middle. The other thing that, we are all very informed, we all care, we know how democracy works. Like, almost half of America is not thinking about politics right now.
Right.
They just find it too confusing, they find it divisive. They're like, I just want to get my kids to school, I want to do a good job, at my work, and I want to have a little vacation once in a while. They don't think about it until 2 weeks before. And I know I've listened to podcasts about this. They're like, you call someone up and you go, have you thought about, they're like, well, I haven't decided yet. Like, how can you not have decided between the two people running for president? But there are people out there, believe me, and they're good people. So in this depolarization work the Carter Center is doing, we're doing it on many different levels, and we have to do it with partners because there are only 2 of us in North Carolina being paid by the Carter Center as contractors to help do this. We have to partner and grow support through great people like you, through all the organizations that are represented here. We have to leverage that and help get the messaging out of how important elections are, that you can trust the election system. North Carolina has a very good election system. And a lot of times on Monday, we hear what's going on in Arizona. Bob Orr and I go, thank God we're not Arizona. Because there are places in this country that truly are on the edge. They would not do town halls in Arizona because of fear of violence. We did 15 town halls in 2022, all over the state. We did always have a security officer there, but we never felt threatened. We never had anybody. We had deniers show up. We had skeptics show up. One town hall, they walked out. They said, oh, you're just doing propaganda. We're not going to convince them, but there are a lot of people in the middle who can be convinced. And they came and they listened. And the other great thing that happens when you have forums like this, when you have gatherings, people talk to their family and their neighbors and their friends. And so we did an evaluation survey, and 80% of the people who came to one of our town halls said they would tell a friend about it. And the other thing I want to do before I forget is make a plug for working the polls. So how many folks here have actually been a paid election worker at a polling site in Mecklenburg County? You guys are saints. Thank you so much. Give them a hand. One of the things that comes with the doubt in our election system is the harassment. So our election officials are getting phone calls. They're getting followed home. They're getting people telling them that they're liars, that they're fraudulent. And we have lost half of our election directors since 2020. So 50 out of 100 counties have new election directors. Now, many of them came up through working elections, but some of them are brand new. They've got a great infrastructure, they've got great training, but that shows the level of fear and harassment that has been created by these doubters. So if you can sign up to be a poll worker, we had during the primary, one of the people in our Carter Center network said that the only reason her polling site worked is they had college interns who had signed up to help because they couldn't get enough adults because the adults were worried and afraid of being harassed. And what you said about white men. White men are so important in this. I have a friend, this is a true story, she was working the polls, taking someone's name, he walked up and he looked at her and said, I bet you're a Democrat. And she said, well, sir, I'm just taking your name and finding you in the rolls and making sure you get the right ballot, and I'm gonna help you do that. I bet you're a Democrat. And I bet that you're gonna give me a ballot with disappearing ink. You can't make this stuff up. Disappearing ink. So when I put it in the tabulator, it's gonna turn into Democratic votes, I bet. And she said, she's African American. She looked at this tall white guy and said, sir, let me get my supervisor. Because her supervisor was a white man. And he listened to the supervisor who said, no, sir, we don't have any budget for disappearing ink. We have never even thought about doing that. We have unaffiliated poll workers, we have Democrats and Republicans. We're all just trying to get the votes counted correctly. And he ended up voting. So these kind of things are happening. If you can sign up to be a poll worker in the poll, great. If not, be a protector with Democracy NC. I did that in 2020. It was great. Talking to voters is actually fun. if you can get them to like answer the phone, or if you can get them to answer the door, but even at the polling site, talking to voters is fun because we all care about democracy and it depends on all of us, and we all have a right to be heard and to have that vote count, to have it count correctly. So in the Carter Center outreach, there are a bunch of things we're doing, and I have no idea what my time is because nobody gave me a time limit. Well, let me tell you the things we're doing, and then you can tell me if I'm good still. Okay, 3 minutes. Okay, so we are doing election town halls, and the League of Women Voters has helped a lot with that across the state. It's a 90-minute session. We get an election director, we get board members, Republican, Democrat, we get lawyers, Republican, Democrat, we get a cybersecurity expert because people do not trust machines. And we do this, we're going to do 26 of them around the state. We've got one April 30th in the mountains, May the 7th in Winston-Salem, and then we'll do a bunch in August and September. When we do it in Mecklenburg County, please come, because it absolutely gives us, you are so amazed at how professional our election workers are and how they double check and triple check and make sure the system works, and they have backup in case there's a hurricane, they have generators, they have alternate sites, they have all this stuff planned out that we never even thought about. So impressive. So we're doing town halls. We have an election commission, 65 people, Republicans, Democrats, unaffiliated, who are looking at how we run elections in North Carolina, and they're going to make a report probably in December or January, because we don't want people to think we're messing with this year, about how we can do things better. And we've got people who moved here from other states who've got great ideas, and those 65 people are going to be part of our getting the message out that our elections right now are well run, they're safe, don't harass election workers, accept the results, and we're all going to be good. So we're doing that. We have a faith outreach, and I need to get you on my email list to do the faith. I'm actually going to Belfast the second week of May, because we're working with the United Methodist minister there who has done work in the Middle East, done work in Northern Ireland with the Troubles, and brought warring parties together to find common ground, to quit killing each other, because they've had numerous terrorist incidents in Northern Ireland. And Gary Mason is helping out, so I'm going over to Northern Ireland to be part of that conversation. Going with me is Casey Crimmins, who is the head of Forest Charlotte, which is a number, he says there are 400 congregations, conservative evangelical churches. He's going with me. And we're going to talk about working across difference to support democracy in a way that is inclusive, that doesn't hate, that doesn't have violence, and that ends up sometimes in compromise. Because everybody is valid, everybody's allowed to be here, and they're allowed to be heard. So we got the faith outreach, we got that, and then we have this network of people who are willing to share messaging, talk to their neighbors and friends, do all the things that you all are doing. So if you want to be on my email list, I have an easy email at the Carter Center. It's jennifer.roberts@cartercenter.org. Easy to find me. jennifer.roberts@cartercenter.org. So we're going to keep doing this. We're worried about not just November the 5th, but what happens between November the 5th and January 20th. All right? Yeah. We can all be part of keeping the waters calm, because no matter who wins, there are going to be some very unhappy people. And we don't want it to be violent. We want peaceful protests. We want people to message that violence is never the answer. In the end, if you turn to violence, that just hurts your cause. Hurts your cause. Peaceful, like Martin Luther King showed us, like Gandhi showed us. It is the moral high ground to have peaceful protest. And that's what we want to make sure that all our communities are looking for after November the 5th. And we can all be part of that. So, I think I'm done, but I want you all to know that you matter, that democracy matters, the world is watching, but we have the ability to keep our democracy strong, to keep it safe, to keep every person strong and safe and secure if we act. And that is all it takes, is being engaged citizens. That is what democracy is all about. I am positive, I am joyful about it. I love talking to voters, and I know you all will too. We have a great system, let's keep it that way. And thank you all for being part of this here today.